exactly. I was like they were. I believed there was a second chance, but there is no second chance. And on. It's sad when you think of all of these things. Oh, what I feel in my soul tonight. Usually when I come into a place to hold a meeting, about the first place I go, if it's a smaller place, I've had mail sent on there, I go to the post office. You know, you drive up in front of the post office, and I go in and if there's mail for me, and I come out and I sit in the car. Well, sometimes I don't even read that mail. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm watching the people that are going in and out of that post office, and ooh, what I'm reading. Oh, what I'm seeing. Some people are sad. Some are lonely, some are heartbroken, and I don't know what could be wrong with a lot of them. But I read a lot in their faces. I would I could walk over to them, put my arm around about them, and tell them about Jesus and what He done for me. Those people are in a pitiable condition, and that's what I'm reading. But I don't dare to do that because of who I am. All right, what I feel in my soul tonight, I'm thanking God for now. I'm going to take you on a trip tonight. I'm going to take you over to a foreign country. That's where they took me. I told you I was born and raised on a farm, but I remember yet there was a train went by our home, way down beyond the pasture, once a day. And I can remember yet we children, and me especially, we would go down there, and I would sit in the pasture about the time I knew that train was going by. And in my heart as a child, I wondered if I would ever ride on a train. In fact, I had never been close to a train. Pardon me, this is as close as I've ever been, sitting down there in the pasture, watching that train go by. And I was thinking about it and wondering about it and so on and on and on. All right, now, I might tell you that my father's home, he built his home on land. It's incorporated in a small city now, but at that time it was not incorporated. And a big Roman Catholic church was built right across the road. We didn't even have any streets then. Right across the road from my father's home. And there all 9 of we children grew up, and we went to that church, and all of my people went to that church. Our school was about a mile and a half out in the country, and the little sisters were my teachers, and so on and so forth. But now, here I am down here thinking about this train. But you know, one day I was privileged to see a train and to ride on a train. How did it come about? Well, I'm going to tell you. After I'd entered a convent in this country in open autumn, I'd taken my white veil, and on, and the time come for me to take my perpetual vows. And after I'd taken my perpetual vows, my black veil, and everything was all ready for me, and they had my passport, my visa, and I was transported to a foreign country. But you know, I'll never forget that day when they took me by a horse and buggy first to the train, yes, where the train was, and I got to see the train. But you see, as much as I could see of it, and that was very little and why. I already had a thin black veil on. But before the Mother Superior let me leave the convent here in the United States, because she's crossing into another country with me, the Mother Superior put a very heavy black veil on top of that thin one. And that meant I had shoes and stockings here in the United States, and all I could see really was to look down at the ends of my shoes. All right, so now she had to keep holding my arm because it was very hard to even see to walk. And you know, when the train pulled in, she led me over to the train, and we went up the steps and we went inside. I thought, oh my, I'm going to get to see the train, but I didn't. She opened the door, they led me down through this coach like this, and the Mother Superior brought me down here to the very front and set me over there against the window, and she sat over on the aisle here. And you know, then the train pulled out, but I can't see anything. And no one knows quite how I felt about that train. I really wanted to see what it was like inside. And I wanted to see more than that. I wanted to see all about it and what it looked like when you're close to it. But after the train pulled out and started on its way, I sat there, of course, and I'm so heavily veiled. And of course, we don't spend a lot of time talking. But you know, I heard something. I heard people getting up and moving around, and I didn't know where they were going or what they were doing. And finally I said to the Mother Superior, I hear people walking. Where are they going? And she said, some are going back to the end of the coach. There's a fountain there to get a drink of water. Others are going back to the restroom. I sat very quietly for quite a while, and then I said, Mother Superior, please, may I go get a drink? I can't assure you I didn't go get a drink. She went and got the water for me and brought it to me over here. And then I sat a little while longer, and then I asked the superior, please, may I go to the restroom? I can assure you she didn't let me go to the restroom alone. She took me to the restroom. If you've ever been in a train, you know how small the restrooms are. Well, she was a very large woman, but she didn't let me go in the restroom. Well, she has a victim in her hand. She's not going to let anything take it away from her. All right, and I'll never forget that ride on the train. Now I'm taken from the train, and we're put on a boat, and I'm going to spend around 2 weeks on a boat. And I'll talk about seasickness. I was sick. But you know, the sad part of it all was that little old storeroom that was our room. It was very small, and to me it was very ugly. All right, Mother Superior could have made my trip so much happier and so much more pleasant had she only done it. You see, I've said goodbye to the United States. I've said goodbye to my father and mother and all of my loved ones, my friends, and to everything in the world that I've loved. I said goodbye to it, and I'm crossing into another country, knowing I'm never coming back to this country again, knowing I'll never see my parents again or any of my people. It's a tremendous price to pay, whether you know it or not. I loved my people just as much as you love your people. All right, now, the Mother Superior would go up on deck and eat her meals with the rest of the people, but the Mother Superior brought my meals down here in the stateroom, and oh, I'm homesick. Just a few days and I was so very homesick, and really I was so seasick I didn't care too much whether I ate, but it was the fact that she brought it down there. Why didn't she take me up on deck and let me eat with the rest of the people? But she didn't, and it was a horrible trip for 2 weeks to live like that. And when we got over into a foreign country, all right, now there's 2 priests there in a car to meet us, and they put us in the car. All right, now I don't know one single thing about that country, and they whipped us away out there in the mountains, and they put me in a cloistered convent, 1 story under the ground. In that convent there was 35 miles of undertunnel. It was like a city, you might say, under the ground. All right, I didn't know I was going to live 1 story under the ground. No one in this country told me any of those things, but here I am. All right, there I spent the best part of my life in that country, in that convent, and let me tell you folks, it wasn't anything to smile about, and it wasn't anything funny. Homesickness was terrible. Oh, the tears that I shed, and I was really homesick. But on and on as I continued with it. All right, all of those years I lived there in that country, in that convent. You look at me tonight, and because I'm a child of God, and because my God is a great physician, and I told you He has healed me. Some night I may be able to tell you more about it, of so many terrible things. All right, I'm well in my body, yes. Very well in my body. I have pretty good health for a woman my age, and travel like I do all over this country. Oh, that's all wonderful. But you know, you look at me now. You know what I look like the day that God said it's enough? And the day that God made a way for me to be delivered out of that convent, I weighed 89 pounds. I'm a large-framed person. I'm 5'7". I weighed 89 pounds, and my cheeks had fallen in, my eyes are falling back in my head, and the day that God delivered me out of the cloistered convent, this shoulder was broken, this arm is broken just above the elbow. Now, oh, my body was in such a terrible condition, and my mind was in even a worse condition than my body. All right, I wonder where you might go had you been in my place. I had to learn the language in that country, surely, but I had never been out, so I know nothing about the country. All right, I wonder where you would go after God delivered you out of a place like that. I have no friends. I have no money. I'm a pauper. Not even 1 single penny. I don't even know if my mother and father's living. I don't know if any of my sisters and brothers are living. Why? In this country, I took my black veil, my perpetual vows at 21 years of age. That's when they transported me to a foreign country. But in this country, I was like 3 months being 13 years of age when they put me in a convent boarding school in this country. All right, now, in this country, they let me write to my father and mother once a month. I wrote. Mother and Dad wrote to me. Oh, when the letters would come, much of it blacked out, and I didn't know half that was going on. But you know that when it was time for me to go abroad into a foreign country, the Mother Superior in the convent in this country, the one who went with me, had promised that I could write to my parents once a month, just my parents, and they could write to me once a month. All right, once a month they gave me the pen and the paper, and I wrote the letter. It never left the convent, but the letters coming from this country to that country to me, the Mother Superior destroyed those letters. I never received any of them. So when God delivered me out of the convent, I didn't know if I had any people living at all. No routing. Of course, I'm a pauper. We have no money. We're not allowed to accept one single penny. And so there I am. And where am I going? In that condition, where would you have gone? Well, I'll tell you, I was out 3 days and 3 nights in the wide open places, laying down on the ground anywhere I could find it, and no food, no water, by the way. I tell you, only God will ever know what it's all about. 3 days in the evening, they picked me up and put me in a hospital. And I'll never forget when they took me into that hospital. First place they took me was up into surgery. And there they stretched me out on the table. And there was 2 doctors, and I can't remember, 3 or 4 nurses, something like that. And you know what they did? They just kept walking around. After they had me laid out on the table there, they just kept walking around that table like, what for? I didn't realize what it was all about then, but I soon started to cry. I didn't know I could cry. Because I quit crying over there in the convent. You waste your tears. But I started crying. I thought, do these people think I'm a freak of human nature? Is that the reason they're doing it? No. When I started to cry, the doctor came over and patted me on the head. And he said, I'm sorry. He understood. But he said, I have never seen anybody look like this. What have they done to you? I still have on my Carmelite nun's habit. What have they done to you? You couldn't do anything with it. This arm and this hand, when they picked me up, I was carrying this hand and this one. This one was swollen as tight as it could swell. Ends of my fingers are all turning blue. Here the bone slivers, the bone had come through the skin. I have no flesh on me. Infection had already set in here and so on. You think of gangrene poisoning, I'm an RN too, you know. All right, I was scared. I don't want to lay down out there on the road somewhere and die like a rat any more than you want to. And so naturally, you know how I felt. All right, here I am in the hospital, and weren't they good to me? And you know, after they talked to me a while, and after then they gave me a heavy sedative, and they were going to take me in a hospital room. Well, that sedative didn't take effect right as quickly as they thought. But they took me in this hospital room. And you know, when there, they had me to lie on that lovely white bed in that hospital room. That bed, you know what hospital beds are like. They have pillows, they have mattress, they have springs, they have lovely white sheets. I haven't slept on a bed in all of those years. We don't have any bed. We don't have any mattress. We don't have any springs. We don't have any pillow. We have nothing but a slab of wood and one blanket. Nothing else. My body, every bone in this body has been disciplined to that slab of wood in that Cloistered Convent. All right, so when they laid me out on that couch bed, then they went out and shut the door because they expected me to go to sleep, but I didn't right away. And I can't stand the pillow, and I couldn't stand the softness of the bed, and I got off of it and laid on the floor underneath the bed. And they come in and found me and picked me up and put me back on the bed 3 times during the night. Then they appealed to me the next morning. We want to help you. They were not my enemies. They want to help me and asked me not to get off of the bed anymore. I'll assure you I didn't. I wanted to do what they wanted me to do. All right, there I lay in that hospital. Now I have a lot to learn, folks. I'm a heathen. Maybe you don't know what a heathen is, but I do. When you've been one yourself, you certainly know what a heathen was. I become a heathen because I lived with heathen, and because I lived one story under the ground. And we have no outside information, no newspapers, no radios. I don't even know a war's going on back there. I knew nothing, and on, so you naturally become a heathen there. Now, one of the hardest things I had to learn to do, and that was to eat. 4 months I was on nothing but unsalted crackers and a light broth. That's all I could retain on my stomach. I couldn't keep anything else down. I had to learn to eat, by the way. And then the time come, after I learned to eat, I have a lot more things to learn. The time come when I began to get a little bit stronger, because I want you to know those people were good to me. They gave me the very best of care. I don't know how many months went by before I could try to walk. They wanted to see if I could walk. Say before I'm not braced on this left hip for TB of the bottom. They didn't think I would ever walk again. All right, but you know, one day, this is what one of the doctor's wives, she bought me a new pair of shoes. Think of it. She bought me some hose. She bought me some civilian clothes. And she